afternoon, you awesome people out there. My name is Scott Schertzen, alongside Mr. Brandon Kaye and Mr. JD Walker, and welcome to Spanglish Sports World on Zingo TV, channel 250. This is the Sports Day. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. Zingo TV is also available with on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Hope you guys are having yourselves a rocking day out there. I wanted to get through all that stuff as fast as possible. Alongside me, as I mentioned, is Mr. Brandon Kaye and Mr. JD Walker. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing pretty well. Yeah, we're in the midst of this insane, chaotic baseball, I'll say, production, to
Yes.
put lightly. But I don't want anybody to worry, because I woke up today feeling very confident that I have solved baseball's problem.
Yes, you mentioned this right before the show started. Obviously, with baseball right now, both sides
At least from an on-the-field standpoint.
Okay. Well, in this case, like I said, both sides are on complete opposite ends of the table. The final proposal by the owners is on the table until 5 o'clock this afternoon, until the next final proposal. They will have as many final proposals as the Rolling Stones will have final tours. I think
Same
in this
thing with
case,
Motley
basically,
Crue.
or Motley Crue, or Guns N' Roses, Billy Joel, pick
Or Kiss.
one. Kiss.
Whoa. Let's put my Guns N' Roses on the side. That was a reunion.
All right.
What was the joke
Tom
about
Jones, Pat Boone, is he still around? Whatever we got to do here. But yes, in this case, apparently Mr. Brandon Kaye has figured out on the field how to fix the baseball problem. Sir, I turn it over to you with bated breath.
Well, we have a lot of talk about the product on the field being slow, or the argument of there's too many games, and being that we're probably going down the path of having games taken away from us, my idea kind of stems from this, and I believe I have floated this idea in previous times to you, Scott. I don't know about you, JD, but I'm bringing it up to you. So we have March 31st is the expected regular season starting point, opening day schedule. That I'm going to throw that out. I'm going to push it to even middle of May, around my birthday, just for. My first issue is with these 162 games. It is a lot. And being that we're at the point where we're probably going to have games taken away from us, especially if you take a month away, that's at least 20 to 25 games per team. So that brings us down to about the 140, 138 mark.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
That's still, I would say to some people, that still might be a handful of games. I'd say that they should do something sort of like the NFL, where you have weekend series, whether it be you have some 3-day weekend series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or you have some 4 games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you can alternate, do 2 and 2 per month, however you want to set that up. That way you're reducing the amount of games while still bringing up some urgency. Because remember, during the COVID season, with that 60 games, it felt like even a little bit, for me personally, it felt a little bit too small, but right from the start, every game counted. So if you were able to find some middle ground, maybe like 118, 120 games, you span it over the course of these Thursday through Sunday or Friday through Sunday weekend schedules. Pitchers can go longer into the season if you're reducing innings. You're reducing injuries for overall. Then another thing is, we kind of talked about this off air last night with the way they have it set up with divisions and stuff like that, National League, American League. You could still keep that, but do away with the importance of the division. Go to more of a conference-based seeding. That way you have your 1 through, however many teams you want to do, 1 through 10 or 1 through 8, kind of the way basketball does it, or a little bit of hybrid with hockey. So that way you're not just competing with you'll still have the divisions, but you're not emphasized so much on winning the division, so to speak, anymore. That way you're increasing, I would say, a little more competition league-wide, especially your individual league, on top of the revamped schedule, Thursday or Friday through Sunday. You go later into the season, and then, on top of that, to do away with this new extra innings stuff, which to some people I think is still very divisive. And I still can understand the kind of like little league-esque gimmick of putting the runner on second. I'd say you get rid of the whole extra inning aspect of the game and put in, a little bit of a home run derby, kind of the same way they do a shootout in hockey or a shootout in soccer. And I believe personally that would bring more kind of fireworks to the actual on the field product that is baseball. You're welcome.
JD, I'll start with you. I'll let you go first.
That was a lot. I know it was a lot.
Well, for one thing, I think it's worth noting that nowhere in any of these negotiations between the players and the owners are they addressing anything on the field, aside from putting, ad patches on uniforms and back and forth playoff proposals. But a lot of them are focused around giving certain division winners buys. I think that and it's that they should go from that they should take a page out of the hockey playbook and do realignment of each league going back to 2 divisions. That way you have 2 division winners and 4 wild cards. Division winners get a bye, and then you have the 4 division winners playing in the 4 wild card teams playing in a wild card round, same format as the COVID year in 2020. 3 games, all at the higher seed. That way you get rid of this stupid 1-game wild card playoff, and you have it into a legitimate sample size of a 3-game series, no travel, all at the same site. Then the 2 winners of those series would play the division winners in a normal division series, best of 5, LCS, best of 7. If you really want to go crazy, you could realign in a way to set up either an Eastern and Western Conference, and make all of the divisions true geographical based, because under any of the circumstances that I've tried in my own spare time as far as deciding which teams are in which division, there's always one or 2 teams that kind of get the short end of the stick because there's nowhere else for them to go. So that's an idea that I've seen floated in various ways. Also, I would go down to, at the very least, a 154 game season, but you could probably get it in about between 120 and 144 and still have a good idea of how good these teams are. I would also go down to a 7-inning game. We already don't have enough pitchers to make it through 9 innings, let alone extra innings. Starters are wusses who can barely make it through 5 innings anymore. So you go 5-inning starter, 6-inning setup, and then 7th-inning closer. You have extra innings 8 and 9 played normally. If you want to get through anything like a home run derby or some other gimmick after 9 innings, I would think about it. I'm not really sure about that one personally. I wouldn't ban the shift, but I would put restrictions on it. But all of this is speculative, where the issues with these negotiations aren't even so much owners versus players. It's also owners against each other. It seems to be the small market owners that are dictating these negotiations. What shows you how serious that the league is about actually getting a deal done, or rather how serious they aren't, is the fact that Dan Montfort, the Rockies owner, is leading the negotiations. So the complete game actually would be 7 innings, not 5.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, if that, then they got to give the pitchers the correct due of giving them the right stats and everything.
As far as the official game,
yeah, that was bullshit. I hated that.
Yeah, but I think that there is something to the 7-inning full game. Part of the precedent for that is boxing. Heavyweight matches, boxing matches used to be 15 rounds, and they've gone down to 12. I believe in the 80s they made that change. So there is some precedent for that, especially when most of it is dead ball action. There isn't much actual action in these games anyway. All of these negotiations of financials back and forth are doing nothing to address the fact that the product on the field stinks.
Which is why I started with the point that if we're getting to a point where we're automatically going to be eliminating games, then we might as well just kind of really dabble into it. But I think there is a way there could be a hybrid between your idea, JD, and mine, especially come the playoff time. But yeah, hey, I was even getting really crazy in my thoughts and say, let's go to 8 innings, have like a halftime, and put a home run derby in the halftime. Just I don't know. Try something. Try something. Yeah, try something.
And also, I think that the extending the drop dead deadline and final offer one more day is just an effort to try and save face by the owners. They are still so far apart that I do not see them coming to a deal today. I mean, maybe they might extend it out a few more days, but ultimately, I think they're probably going to blow away at least the first 2 weeks of this season. I really think that you could blow away the first 2 months and start on Memorial Day, and it wouldn't really affect the quality of the season on the field all that much. All the weather, the games in April are all garbage and terrible weather anyway. So, Scott, I'll defer. I'll toss over.
No. I have a question we'll put on with JD, but I'll ask it to both of you. At what point in the season would you consider the season to have changed? You said Memorial Day, the season doesn't really change the feel of it too much. 60-game season, you saw a difference in the feel. Yes. Where do you think, basically, are you thinking like June 1st, June 15th?
Mother's Day.
July 1st? Mother's Day, okay. When the season feels different because you've cut so many days.
And when's Mother's Day? May something?
15th-ish, I guess.
Yeah, because then you're going to be going into All-Star break. And then, I mean, at that point, before you know it, you're at the end of August already.
We've had multiple World Series champions in the past few years that essentially took the first 2 months of the season off. It feels like the St. Louis Cardinals take the first half of the season off every year, and then wake up and go on a hot streak in August and September and sneak into the playoffs and make a deep run. That's an absolute joke in 162 games.
Or in cases like the Mets, you can make a move at the trade deadline and then take off and find yourself in the World Series.
Or make moves at the deadline and go down the tubes like the Mets did this past
That's
season.
What I was expecting you to say.
Hey, no.
You make the trades at the deadline to look like you're great and then fail at the last minute. Now, Brandon, my take on your side of it. I think forgetting the monetary aspect of it, because obviously you want to get all the ad revenue you can. Leave that out of the equation for a sec. I think a permanent weekend series, or even a Thursday, Friday, I would say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a permanent weekend series would turn into an event. See, the advantage that football has right now is that it's a weekend event.
Right.
Baseball is a thing. 5 days a week, typically on average, not counting Mondays or Thursdays, typically. And it's always there. So the product gets watered down because it doesn't become something special, unique, and eventful. It's just always there.
Quantity instead of quality.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo.
I mean, there are times when teams are playing
games. I say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, there are times when teams can go on like a 3-week stretch and play, 18 out of those 21 games.
Sometimes 21 out of 21
in a row, or especially like 2 weeks straight in a row.
Yeah.
And at some point, even with the Mets, I'm like, shit, are the Mets on tonight? And then I get a notification, Alonso hits this smash into the 4th inning. I'm like, damn, we're 4th inning. Like, it is a lot to keep up with.
Well, see, it's almost one of those things that you seem surprised when baseball isn't happening. You look at the schedule, you'll see what's going on there, and you look at it and be like, oh, my team isn't playing tonight. You kind of get surprised by it, and you're like, all right, what am I going to have as background noise? And that's I think that's where some of the challenges are, where it's not an event. It's just always, like I said, 5 days a week, sometimes even 7 days a week. It's there. Obviously,
like a soap opera on every day.
Basically,
there's a reason why players have been using performance-enhancing substances of whatever form for over 100 years in baseball, because playing 6-7 days a week for months is brutal. That's why they had instead of regular or decaf coffee, they had regular versus spiked, which was laced with amphetamines.
Exactly. Andrew Dean Style. Remember that one from back in the 90s?
Yeah. Well, there was documented cases of some player who I think is in the Hall of Fame played before 1900 who was using monkey testosterone in the 1890s.
Believe it. Dude, there was always something somewhere.
Yeah.
Every player was trying to get an edge somehow.
For as long as
somewhere.
the sport has existed, somebody's have been trying to cheat.
Dude, that Aztec sport where you had to hit the ball through the hoop, with your hip, they might have had some kind of doping thing going by back in the 15th century going on. You never know. Possibly something with Rocky Mountain oysters for testosterone. But I think in this case, like they're obviously not going to do the weekend aspect of it because there's too much money being lost. And right now, because they're losing money, they're going to try and recoup that as much as possible. Ads on jerseys being
I don't
part of
know
it.
if they will be, though.
Well, if they're losing games, they're losing revenue. Simple as that.
Yeah, but if these teams aren't selling, especially the problem is because you have every game, like especially for a season ticket holder, like you can't fill the seats every single night, every night of the week. Well, every seat filled. That way, if you're doing it, at least the urgency for a seat, I'd say, becomes a little increased. So there's ways to make up the revenue by playing 3 or 4 games, in a weekend stretch.
But do you think
so? Would you have off days Monday through Wednesday in your scenario, Brandon?
Yeah, throw a practice in there. Whatever, a batting practice or two. Do something. They're in the cages, every day almost anyway.
I could see that for maybe like the early months of the season, but not.
And imagine especially a Giants Dodgers weekend, Red Sox Yankees weekend, or Cubs Cardinals weekend, or somebody like it'll be an event like you said, Scott. I'd say you got try something.
I just wonder.
You're going to lose games this year anyway.
I just wonder about the commercial revenue standpoint. That's like I said, that's my only thing. Would that
raise
make
every
sense?
concession stand item by a quarter? There you go. That'll make up for it. Raise every concession stand item by a quarter.
So beer goes from.
They raised every concession stand item by $3, and they're pocketing all the money, which is why the players
exactly.
are upset.
So what difference does it make at this point if you're going to do it a little more? I just think they got to try something. I think going into another which is what 10 years, a 10-year agreement. I'd say going 10 years down the same path. As much as I'll still be invested in everything, it can fade. I can see it fading a little bit.
It's going to keep fading, and it's also only a 5-year agreement for that reason.
Okay, well,
anything on the table is only a 5-year agreement.
So there you go. So if this is only going to be 5 years, you got to do something. Try something.
Well, looking at it from right now, gun to both of your heads, instant, answer. When does the season start, JD?
Memorial Day.
Brandon?
Yeah, I'm around that too. Mother's Day, even sometime in May.
So basically about 2.5 months, give or take. Maybe 3 months, depending.
Yeah.
Also, what are they going to do?
What are they going to do? Sign the contract, and then a month later we have every pro team fielder. Like, no, there's got to be time. So there's, especially now that we're literally first, nothing's happening till May at the very least.
Yeah. I think that the owners expressed willingness starting off of the negotiations yesterday. It leaked out that the owners essentially opened with, we're okay with blowing away the first month of the season. And then, they softened their stance as the day went on. From an owner standpoint, for all the things you mentioned, Brandon, the first 2 months of the season are minimal in terms of revenue because you have kids still in school. The weather stinks in most of the country. Cold, rainy. It's not even baseball
spring
weather.
break. Spring break. That's 2 straight weeks where all the college kids are not caring about baseball.
And baseball is also, so much in the future anyway. You'll know it's going to be 2, 3, 4 months.
It's just everywhere you look. It's just opportunities are being lost.
I think that some of those opportunities are overstated. The players don't get paid during spring training anyway, so the revenue opportunities are minimal for the first 2 months of the season. And in a lot of places, there's the attendance, it barely moves the needle at all. some of this issues is also small market versus big market owners. It seems to be like, which is why any of the ideas about revenue sharing haven't gotten any traction. You know what would instead of salary cap or arbitration, you know what would really prevent tanking? A salary floor. This problem is not salary cap; it's salary floor. It's the fact that half the teams in the league aren't even trying to field a winning team. They're just pocketing the revenue sharing money, and they're also not getting much in terms of local revenue. Baseball is a regional sport instead of a national one. As a result, you have most of the teams, basically all the teams that aren't, the big market, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, and so forth, that have their own TV network. Most of them are stuck in absolute garbage RSN deals, regional RSNs, regional sports networks, where they're getting peanuts, and
it's pennies on the
networks. The networks themselves are getting dropped from the cable carriers. So and people who live in those markets, they can't get it on their cable systems. They either don't have a cable system or don't want it, because everybody's cord cutting. Yet you can't get your local games, and local territory in the Midwest stretches through multiple states. One of the things I read was that the irony of the Field of Dreams game in Iowa is that parts of Iowa are blacked out from like 7 different teams. So how are you going to grow a sport that has these dumb exclusivity contracts that make you cannot grow your sport and grow your product if your product is inaccessible to watch? And for those that can watch it, it's boring. I mean, there are major long-term issues with baseball, and how to grow your sport when when demographically your average fan is a 57-year-old dude, versus other sports the average age is around 40. It's a recipe for long-term disaster. The owners know it, and also and the players know it too. Yet all of the player reps are the Scott Boras contingent. I think 5 of the 8 players that are on that are on the negotiating panel are Scott Boras clients. So it does nothing for the middle and low market and low tier player. They act like they are trying to raise minimum salaries, arbitration, and all, which they're getting a little movement on, but really not very much. The stars are always going to get their money. It's like a lot of other things in business and economics these days. The ones in the middle are the ones squeezed out. The player that is in for 5 years arbitration eligible and gets DFA'd and then never seen again. So there's so many issues which will not be solved in one CBA, and none of them address the on-field rules and on-field product, and bait and switch tactics of trying to attach things that we thought that they were close on is negotiating in bad faith. Something like, oh, well, we will only give you $20 million of your bonus pool if you agree to uniform patches. Like these things don't have anything to do with each other. Stop trying to link them. All of this shows that the owners are not negotiating anything in good faith.
Now, here's a question that just popped into my head. During the COVID issue of 2 years ago, when there was no baseball here, they started broadcasting Korean games. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to start doing that. If ESPN's going to start doing something like that as well, where they're going to start basically playing the Korean games, Japanese games, and maybe somewhere else out there, just to give people some sort of fix.
The minor leagues are still going. I'm on the Mets email list since I've bought tickets for them over the years. They're now sending Brooklyn Cyclones ticket sales solicitations.
That Cyclone Stadium's a pain in the neck to get to. I think it's A train all the way to the end, something like that.
You're going to the tip.
Yeah, I was there once months ago.
It's a hike to get out there.
Yeah, and that's why
I've never been out there for that reason. Even when I lived in New Jersey, I had zero desire to go out there.
Yeah, I was there once. It's actually a really nice minor league stadium, but getting there is the pain in the neck. Staten Island Yankee Stadium's not bad. That's a little easier to get to. But yeah, I mean, I have to start wondering if somehow, some bizarre way, we're going to see Mike Talkman on TV again because he's playing in one of the Korean leagues now. And if they start, playing a Hanwha Tiger game or something like this, you might watch some Korean baseball at 5 a.m.
Didn't Bryce Harper say something like, post something along the lines of like that he wouldn't mind playing for the Giants, as in the Yomiuri Giants in Japan?
Well,
it made me think of that line in Major League 2. Yeah, we got that player from the Giants. Oh, did you give me
Here we
Parker?
go.
No, not those Giants.
League and here, this is it. MLBPA declining CBA offer. League and players could not agree on the new CBA, which was the deadline was 5 p.m., so basically in a half hour. MLB has threatened to cancel opening day without a deal.
Sounds about right.
So, but the point that I jumped to the on the field product is in any way that we're able to get past this hurdle of all the logistics and all this kind of CBA lockout stuff. Now you're at the point of, okay, now we're playing baseball, and now you're and that's the next bridge you have to cross. So that's why I jumped to that already, because yes, eventually we're going to get through this. Despite how messy these talks are, we are going to get baseball eventually. And then we're going to be back to square one with the product, this and that, slow, boring, too many games, blah, 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 blah. It's just, it's just crazy. This is insane.
I believe Obi posted something earlier this week that said it is entirely possible that Bobby Bonilla might be the highest paid baseball player in MLB this year.
I posted that. And
I love that. Oh, my God.
That's hilarious.
If the rate things are going, his paycheck on July 1st, he might be the first one getting paid.
Hey, baseball might be starting on Bobby Bonilla Day at this point.
Wouldn't that be hilarious? And then we have, a 90-game season, I guess? August. 70 games, I guess.
I mean, there's
just had 60 before, so hey, at this point, that would be a positive.
I mean, while I prefer, my favorite sport is college basketball because every game matters.
Mm-hmm.
All of these sports, with the exception of football, even though the 17th game kind of started broaching into that territory, all of the seasons are too long.
Mm-hmm.
You have teams take months of the season off in both the NBA and baseball, and the entire concept of load management to try and save up for the playoffs. You could lop 20 games off of the NBA season, and I think that it wouldn't make a difference.
Aren't we already down 10? Didn't they narrow it to 72?
They only did that for 1 year because of COVID.
We're back to the 82. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You're the one that watches the NBA the most.
No, I know, but I honestly there's too much like it's between the play-in, because if they have the play-in though, that's the only reason why I didn't know what rules were kept. It's a lot to keep up with, but I think 10 to 20 games off the NBA season would not be a killer.
Yeah.
Hockey too. It would be less losses I have to sit there and deal with.
And you could easily focus on the quality of the games and not the quantity. And if you have more scarcity, the games will sell out more, as opposed to playing baseball games on a rainy Tuesday in April with maybe 10,000 people in a 40,000 seat stadium.
Or even starting a game knowing that it's going to be these torrential downpours. You have 5 people with their ponchos all bundled up, ready to watch, 3 pitches before they call it?
Yeah.
It's a waste of a day. It's an absolute waste of a day. And those 3 pitches take 30
minutes because of the pitcher stepping out off the mound, the batter stepping out of the batter's box to adjust his gloves and his pants and everything between every stupid pitch.
You'd save revenue not by even having that day at all. So there are tons of ways, I think, with baseball and even basketball, now that we're talking about it. Just it's a lot of games.
Also, the baseball owners, I believe, have made the same calculation that the hockey owners made in the 2005 lockout, which is that they lose less money if they cancel the whole season than if they try to play a full season. So they're okay with nuking big chunks. I don't think that they'll nuke the entire baseball season like they did the entire hockey season, which took them years to recover from. But the long-term health of the game was fixed because of that. But it was ugly. This is ugly. It's this is hard to watch here, and also
It's just disappointing.
It's
just really disappointing.
And there's way bigger things going on in the world right now. And if either side of baseball really thinks that fans are going to be welcoming them back with open arms, they're in for a huge reality check. There aren't many things that sports fans agree on, but on The Athletic, every single article with comments, most of the comments are, the heck with both of them, I'm done with this sport.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most agreement on any topic that I've seen in comments on an article about any topic in sports in quite a while.
Yeah, but it's probably not going to get resolved anytime soon, and we're going to sit there and gripe and be frustrated the entire time. So, any other final thoughts, gentlemen, before we probably do move on to college basketball?
No, I can't.
Actually, we're going to do something a little more positive here. So, I don't know. What do we have on the positive side of sports? Anything basically upbeat? Because both of you guys, especially Brandon, you look really depressed, man.
Yeah, I am. The only thing I have going for me is the Heat, top the Eastern Conference. That's it.
Yes. We had a conversation earlier today. I've never been much of a basketball fan, but given my propensity to follow really, really crummy teams, I have decided that the Orlando Magic is going to be my new team to root for, because they have had the worst record since 2014-15. The only team rivaling them is the Knicks. So, given my propensity to follow, like I said, really garbage teams, I've decided the Orlando Magic and Shaq Attack is going to be my new NBA team now. Isn't that great for all of us?
Why would you do that to yourself?
Yes, because we're airing in 1993.
Yeah, I kind of miss the 90s sometimes.
Yeah, Shaq, Nick Anderson, and Penny Hardaway aren't coming through those doors anytime soon.
No.
Penny Hardaway's a coach at Memphis now, with the most overrated team in the country.
It just hit me out of nowhere, and I'm just like, you know what? Okay, fine. It was either that or the Sacramento Kings, I felt that was too far away. I've never been to Sacramento, but I've been to Orlando. So
Sacramento, there's another city that has no business having a pro sports team.
I think you just have a thing for Shaq because doesn't he part own the Kings?
He might.
I believe
I don't know. I mean, listen, Shaq is all. I mean, basically, when it comes right down to it, that means I would have sports cream. I think some kind of a grill. The general auto insurance. Papa John's. Oh yeah, Papa John's too. And
you would go pick up that Papa John's in your Buick.
That Buick, dude. Papa John's pizza. I cannot get into Papa John's pizza. It's
you got an icy hot.
We're from New Jersey, where you could get real pizza. Why would you have Papa John's?
Best pizza in the country, apparently, by state, by the way, New Jersey. Yeah, not better than New York City, but basically better than New York State across the board, because they have to still go up against Albany and Oswego pizza.
Yeah, once you go past,
there's a lot of New York State that really brings it down.
Yeah. Yeah, you got Northwest out there. I don't know how Buffalo is with their pizza and everything like that, but Hannibal, New York, or Oswego, or someplace like that on Lake Ontario, can't imagine it's that solid.
So, Buffalo though gets a pass because of their wings. Highly disappointing.
Which, by the way, speaking of the wings, there was a Monday Night Football game a little while back where they were up in Buffalo, and ESPN was at Buffalo Wild Wings, and the internet went ballistic on it. Because they're like, you are at the the cornerstone of all things Buffalo. You have every mom and pop that's well known throughout that area, and you go to the chain. That's like basically movies when they have product placement. And it's like, oh yeah, let's get Domino's.
Well, that's because the chain is an NFL sponsor.
Yeah, I know, and I get that. But it was one of those things that the internet lit up because it's like, yeah, this place that you could have gone to, but you're like, nah, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
There was a similar one I saw where one of the writers, I think from Yahoo, who was talking about Buffalo Wings, and he mentioned said how good they are with ranch and got all kinds of hate mail about how the only proper way to eat wings is with blue cheese. I personally disagree since I can't stand blue
No,
cheese.
I
But
don't have a problem with ranch. I have no problem with ranch.
There's something about blue cheese, man, that just really gets me. I love it. So, but I'm not opposed to ranch. I'm not an either or, but I'm okay with the ranch.
But the internet being what the internet is, they lit up and it's like, you can't have ranch on this. Yes, you can. Go eat. And the internet just went what the way the internet apparently does. So cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But college basketball has been plenty exciting.
Just gonna go in that direction. Yes. How about that March Madness? Dicky Vitale.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be electric.
Dick Vitale is recovering from cancer, so unfortunately we won't be hearing anything. Unfortunately,
I think we will. I think Geico is going to rerun that Dicky Vitale ad.
We'll get a hologram.
No, but the one where he dunks himself, where he drops like Gatorade or water on himself.
Yes,
it's March Madness, baby. I'm pretty sure they're going to rerun that commercial this year.
This is the same way Geico dug out the Icky Woods commercial after the Bengals made the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, I didn't even put that together with Icky Woods and the Bengals that way. I just saw Icky Woods. I'm like, oh my god, how old?
Yeah, but there's plenty going on. I mean, I'm a Big East guy, and Seton Hall. So Providence is having a heck of a season. They've already clinched the regular season championship with an asterisk because they conveniently had games against Seton Hall, UConn, and Creighton postponed due to COVID. Mm-hmm. So it's so they won't be making up those 3 games. So it's a regular season title with an asterisk. We'll see what happens in the tournament. Seton Hall, after taking essentially half the month of January off, is on fire lately. So they're trending up, heading into March Madness. Rutgers is still on the bubble. After they had, I think, 3 straight wins against top 25.
It might have been 4, but it was it was nice. It was a nice run.
Yeah. Then you had Juwan Howard, the Michigan coach, trying to go full WWE in a handshake line, and was only suspended for the last few games. I personally think he should have been fired, but it was pretty crazy to watch. If you I would look up that clip if you haven't seen that yet, where he just straight up punched an opposing coach in the post game handshake line.
First off,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is 2022. I get they're in college, but these are grown ass boys. Like, get rid of this shaking hands stuff. Like, it's unnecessary. Like, come on. What are we trying to do? Teach a 20-year-old about sportsmanship? Like, he's either got sportsmanship or not. I think they should just get rid of it. And second of all, yes, Juwan Howard should not have gotten physical. But Greg Gard, if somebody doesn't want to talk, you don't insist on it. Mm-hmm. Don't keep trying to push it to their chest to get your point. You know what? Take the win, get off the court, and call them up later. Call them up the next day and tell them your explanation. Which don't do that again. You call a timeout with 15 seconds to go and you're up by almost 20 points. Don't do that. That would piss me off too. So for that sense, I give Juwan Howard a pass. But the reason with coming back to the point of the punch or the aggressive slap, if you want to call it, the reason why I think he did it, because if he hit the assistant coach, and I think the assistant coach said something to the player, the one that was kind of holding right in front of him, because the player says something back. And I don't know what was said, but I think that might have been what led Juwan Howard to get physical.
Regardless of what was said, and there are debates for that, this also isn't the first time that Howard has gone after an opposing coach, because he had some testy words with Maryland coach Mark Turgeon in the Big Ten tournament last year. So he's already got 2 strikes now. So he needs to cool it quick, before he gets a 3rd strike. And also, but the winning tweet that I saw on all of this was all these years later, the Fab Five still have issues with timeouts.
Ooh.
Sorry, production.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, I guess
Meanwhile, Chris Webber is doing what he's doing, like not even involved in any of this major sports talk or anything going on major in basketball right now, and it gets dragged back into it.
He's just got the Kermit sipping the tea meme in all of this.
Now,
yeah, but March Madness is my favorite time of the year. You have a single elimination tournament, a season that isn't too long. It's only 30 games as opposed to about 35 games as opposed to 82. And single elimination tournament, fantastic to watch.
Yeah, no seven game stretch, 2-3-2 type of setup there where drags it out for 2 weeks. Now
even a 3-game stretch would drag.
Oh yeah, because in this case here you can give up a loss knowing that you can recoup for the next day. In this case here, it's all in or gone. See Gonzaga as an example. Perfect season last year, lost to Baylor, end of it. Which opens up the question in this case: do you think they can? Where do you think they stand? Because they've already lost a game, so they don't have the pressure this time around of trying to run a perfect season.
I mean, for what it's worth, they are still the number one team in the country, even with a 24-3 record. There was also craziness where I think it was the top 6 teams in the AP top 25 all lost on Saturday, which had never happened before. All of them losing the same day. The current top 10 is in order is Gonzaga, Arizona, Baylor, Duke, Auburn. Then number 6, you have Kansas, Kentucky, Purdue, Providence, and Wisconsin. Round out the top 10 with Villanova at 11. Just outside. You have another Providence-Villanova matchup tonight.
And that's less than 2 weeks before we get underway with that too. I think it's March 13th.
March 13th is Selection Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
And you got the conference tournaments starting next week.
So, in your case, basically, as far as Seton Hall goes, I know you're a season ticket holder, so Seton Hall proud to the end, right?
Oh, yeah. It's the final home game tomorrow night. I will be there.
Nice. Good, and you should be. So, all right. So, we got about 10 minutes left at this point. This is, of course, the Sports Den. Find us always on Twitter at SSW Sports Den and also on Instagram and Facebook at Spanglish World Sports Den. I got to throw that out there. So, with the remaining 10 minutes that we've got left here, I want to talk a little bit about a small list of demands by Mr. Kyler Murray. I know prior to the show, all the three of us were kind of kicking ideas. JD, I know you had proposed that as a conversation piece and a topic that I think will fit in very nicely for the last 10-ish minutes here. He has a very, very, I believe you said CVS receipt level list of demands.
Right.
And if you've ever seen a CVS receipt, basically it actually weighs more than whatever it is that you just bought from them. So, but yeah, talk about that a little bit. I know that was something you guys wanted to talk about a little bit, so roll with it.
He's played so with NFL contracts for first-round draft picks. You have a 4-year. It's a base 4-year contract with a team option for a 5th year. After the 3rd year is done, you can sign an extension. Murray has now finished year 3. You also have to decide between years 3 and 4 whether or not the team is going to pick up the year 5 option. And if you go through all that, you have the franchise tag, which Washington used with Kirk Cousins and Dak with the Cowboys. Although Dak, not being a first-round draft pick, did not have that option year, so it was only a 4-year contract. So Murray is going in with a list of demands. You have no leverage. The team can tell you, no, you're still playing under this contract. He can try to hold out and get fined accordingly. But there's really 3 more years of team control here. If you're looking for an extension, teams are understandably very hesitant to give big money extensions after year 3, unless a quarterback has done something fantastic, like Patrick Mahomes, or Watson, and you see how good of a decision. There have been too many teams that have gotten burned by giving extensions too early, most notably Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. Although things ended up working out fine for the Rams by but they gave up extra draft picks in order to get rid of him for Stafford.
Mortgage the future for the president, but it worked out for them.
Yeah, so
picks.
Yeah. So for the Cardinals and Murray, and Murray is unique in having leverage of where you'd think that he would say, "I'll go play baseball." Oops, can't do that either.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think, honestly, that might be playing into a fact, more than people are giving it credit for.
The baseball factor?
Just, even to use it as some type of bargaining chip. What do you mean? Like, I'm going to go play baseball? Yeah, no, can't do that.
Unless he's going
you're right.
to play unless he's going right to play with the Oakland A's, which usually doesn't happen. You're going to give up NFL contract of any size in order to go ride buses to Birmingham and Sugarland, Texas. I highly doubt that. So it isn't as much of the leverage play that they say it is. I mean, I think that a little bit too much drama is made of what he said, what any player says on social media. Oh, he's scrubbed his account, his Twitter of any mentions to the Cardinals. Okay, you can be upset all you want. There is no leverage here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in this case here, the team had a great start, but floundered, I should say, a better word, proper word, later on. And even at the end of it, I mean, lost kind of an embarrassing fashion. So like you said, there is no leverage. There's nothing they can say, well, I got you to this level. No, he hasn't.
He hasn't gotten them to any level.
You're in the grand
scheme
got
blasted by the Rams.
And in the grand scheme of things, they're no further ahead than they are before they drafted him. Yeah, they're a better team, but there's nothing yet to show for it.
And all these quarterbacks that get these $40 million a year contracts, and then the team has no money to sign anybody else, and then they wonder why they don't go back to a Super Bowl or anywhere near a Super Bowl. See Rodgers, Flacco, and Wilson, any other players that won a Super Bowl, got a big extension, and then didn't get near a Super Bowl after that. Murray's trying to do that, and he hasn't even won a playoff game.
Yeah. And speaking of Wilson, he's already made the announcement that he does not want to go to an East Coast team. So that leaves out my Giants and, of course, the Commodes, too. So there was a lot of talk that he might be going to Washington. Washington, dude, I'm sorry. The Commanders is a bad name. I'm not a fan of it.
Commodes.
I mean, the Commodes, yeah. The Commanders, the Commodores, if you want to go that way, a little Lionel Richie, maybe I'm willing to work with that. But I'll even go Washington football team. And I never went a football team. I might do that here. But yeah, bottom line is
Washington, the football team.
Yeah. Washington Sentinels we can do, Washington Stars maybe. But in this case, he's already made the announcement he is not going East Coast. So that opens up a little less options there, but a little more curiosity. Will he go to Green Bay? Will he end up going to Denver? Who knows? Maybe will he stay with Seattle? Probably not, but you never know. But
what if he goes to the Niners? If they're not sold, you see all of a sudden, Montana and Steve Young are coming out saying that they're not sure about Trey Lance. Go for it, Russell Wilson. I mean, I still think this bringing Tom Brady out of retirement is still somewhat of a pipe dream. Yeah. At least go for somebody who's still in the league.
Dude, he's already doing a movie. Tom Brady is already doing a movie with Rita Moreno, Sally Field, I think Lily Tomlin.
I'm not going to see it. I'm not pulling money out of my wallet to give to Tom Brady after what he's done to me.
Go away.
Honestly, at this point, it's egotistical. It's almost to the point of narcissism.
We're way past the point of narcissism when it comes to Brady. We've had for a long time.
I suppose we are.
I think the point of narcissism was the peak of narcissism was doing a 9-part ESPN docuseries about yourself.
While you're still playing.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing for Jordan, but for Brady to do that while still playing, give me a break.
Well, it's that proverbial. It could have been that swan song without being a swan song, too. But the fact that, like I said, he's doing. I mean, I don't know much about this movie. Like I said, I mentioned a lot of the people that were in it, but everybody that I mentioned were veterans. That people have been, people that have been in the Hollywood industry for 40, 50, 60 years even. So he's got people carrying him on that. But I don't know. Will he start doing more commercials? Will he start hosting? Will he get his own show? Will he get his own show on Food Network? Like, shoot, who's the guy? Basically, the Giants' backup quarterback that was also on The Bachelor. Hasselbeck, was it?
Oh, Tim Hasselbeck?
No, was it Jesse Palmer?
Jesse Palmer. Yeah.
Yeah. With Giants' backup quarterback that's now like a host on the Food Network. Like one of those like cupcake competitions, like Cupcake Wars or something. Maybe he'll do something like that. Maybe he'll start, doing a Food Network channel. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he'll have his own network, and he'll show us how to make his avocado ice cream and his all these other disgusting things that I can't, grass ice pops or something like that. Not happening.
Yeah, supposedly his diet is like 80% vegan and like 20%, I guess, either pescatarian or meat in general. But yeah, it's good.
How about this? You have TB12 merging with Goop, and then we've reached peak insufferability of selling, ridiculous, expensive, hoity-toity, lifestyle products, that are way out of the price range or imagination of 95%.
Eduardo, if you're listening to this right now, can you just hide him after that comment? The very mention of Goop itself. Can you just basically just hit that little button on the side and just take him off camera? We do not discuss Goop on this network. We do not. I got a notification for 3 minutes.
Tom, just look. If you want to own part of the Dolphins, go ahead. But stop.
Yeah.
Like we're done. We're tired of it.
He can buy the Marlins.
Go ahead. Oh, that could lead us to our Marlins.
Speaking of narcissistic people making it all about themselves, Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Well, that experiment worked out really well there too. Supposedly, there's some talk as suddenly we're falling back into baseball for the last couple of minutes that ESPN is making a hard push for Derek Jeter on Sunday Night Baseball to team up with A-Rod. So on a show,
once again, A-Rod getting crowded out.
I'm going to count down to 3 down to 0. When I hit 0, let me know if you're going to watch. 3, 2, 1, go.
Nope. Once just to see how it goes, and that's it. You cannot put Derek Jeter and A-Rod in a booth. Just the two of them. Even if you had a third guy as some type of moderator, I can't see the two of them together. I can't see Jeter doing any.
I don't know, man. I mean, listen, I wouldn't see it either. But, I mean, I imagine their relationship has gotten better since they got out of baseball. It got icy for a while, but I'm pretty sure they've resolved now they're out of it. But the idea of the two of them, I mean, the amount of hatred and vitriol that would be coming to ESPN for putting 2 former Yankees on there. I mean, my God, the ratings are already suffering.
I mean, we see this in football all the time where we have Cowboys everywhere we look on
every Cowboy game is national.
Yeah, with the exception of NBC. Yeah, I mean,
I believe in an America where we choose our own team. None of this America's team garbage.
But we got to wrap this up. America's team, like it or hate it, mostly hate it. But yeah, we got less than a minute left, so we got to wrap this up. Thank you to you guys. As always, you guys are awesome. Appreciate it. We never even got to some of the other topics like the NBA overall, but save it for next time as well. So on behalf of myself, Mr. JD
Wait,
Walker,
can I just say one last NBA point before we go? It's already late this year. Next year's MVP, John Morant, book it.
All right.
Calling it here first. Next year, 100% book it.
All right. Putting it down on that, coming back to it, and making it look either really smart or really dumb when the time comes. But as for right now, I'm Scott. Thanks as always. Stay awesome.